There's no such thing as minor 1. It's usually acting as a 6 chord of some kind. Even if it's 2-5 to the 2, right? That's still acting as a 6 chord in the subdominant key. Even if it's 2-5 to the 3, that's still acting as a 6 chord in the dominant key, you know? And so I just gave you, 4 or 5 different examples: Minor Blues, Summertime, Body and Soul, You Don't Know What Love Is, Black Orpheus. This kind of idea of hearing things like this, I think, is very important. Start to hear them from the perspective of the 6. You know, I'm not saying don't think minor 1, right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying do both. And it's really helped me hear minor tunes in the correct way. And then when you start to layer this with the blues, it's blues, baby. If I was to call this song at a jam session and I was to say, hey, let's play Summertime in A, the first question that someone's going to ask is, do you mean A minor or A major? And like literally right there, you're proving my point. There's no such thing as minor 1. Okay, I know people are going to freak out when I say this. What do you mean there's no such thing as minor 1? There's plenty of minor songs in minor. Start on the 1. It's like, or they go to the 1. Whatever you want to call it. I get it. Yes. Okay, I'm not saying there's no such thing as minor 1. What I'm saying is your ear doesn't really hear it like that. So let's just get right into it. We'll get to this handout in a minute, but I know the jazz police are going to hate me. But hear me out. There's no such thing as minor 1. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that means that when you're playing from a minor perspective and you're doing all these tunes that are clearly from the minor, you know, yeah, your ear hears movements like this. Like that sounds like we're in A minor, because we are. But my point is that you're hearing this as if it's a 6 chord. That's a 2 chord. And then this is a 7-3 dominant 6. Now, when you start to hear it like this, you're going to realize that all the songs that we love that are in minor are most of the time, like I'm telling you, 90% of the time, and really even beyond that, even when they're not, quote unquote, you can still kind of hear them in a certain fashion where it ends up being the 6th chord of a different key. But let's not get into that. Let's take a song like Summertime, A minor, right? So when we think A minor, if I was to call this song at a jam session and I was to say, hey, let's play Summertime in A, the first question that someone's going to ask is, do you mean A minor or A major? And like literally right there, you're proving my point. Because what you're saying is how am I hearing this? Am I hearing this from the perspective of a major, A major? So there actually we would be an F sharp minor, because right then you already know you start on the 6. And that's my point, is that all these songs that we hear that are such strong minor sounds, because it sounds great, are from the 6th chord. And why does the 6th chord sound good? Well, it's because half of it is, 3/4 of it is a minor, or is the major 1. There's C major, G, C, E. Well, if I just put a 6 in the bass, it perfectly makes A minor. So, you're already playing the 1 chord with 3 different notes, and by adding the 6 in the bass, you're creating this really cool, you complete the stack of thirds, because, I can play A minor, C, E, G. If you were to do that, it sounds like a really nice big minor 7 chord. And that's the point. So if I was to take a tune like Summertime, right? Two, 5 to the 1, 4, 7, 3, 6. Right? Summertime in the living is easy. Fish are 2 and the cotton is 7, 3. So your daddy's rich and your ma is good looking. 2, 5. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Then from there you're playing from the 6. So my point is that when you start to realize this, you can hear these songs more clearly. And in my opinion, it really helped me. And I learned this from my church gig again. It's like we be playing in certain songs in certain frameworks of how they're hearing things. And more specifically, I really noticed this when we're playing, again, go watch the parallel key movement stuff. It's the blues, right? It comes back to it every time, because in a blues form, watch that video, you hear me talk about how you're just playing major and minor. And really more specifically, it's 1 and 6, but parallel. C major, C minor. A major or A minor. In this case, we're not doing parallel. I mean, this is literally, from the 6th chord. So that's not a good example. But my point is that our ear really likes relative minor, 6th chord, right? So Summertime does it. Let's just pull up a chart just so I can show you what it looks like. So here's Summertime. There's not really a good chart for Summertime, so I just used this one and marked it up with the right changes, right? So look at, there's Summertime. We start on the 6, Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping to the 2 chord, right? But this root movement, going back, and when you do that root movement, A to D, it does sound like a 1-4 movement, right? Especially if I was to do, but that's my whole point, is that if you watch the minor 2-5 video, it's really 7-3-6. That's how your ear hears it. And it's one of the most important secondary dominants, which is 3 dominant, right? Which uses flat 6. Watch that lecture. Anyway, so my point is you start on the 6th chord because it's such a strong sound. 6 goes to the 2, and then we do a 2-5 back to the 6, right? Which is 7-3-6. Okay. Your daddy's rich and your ma's good looking. And then you clearly hear this 2-5 movement, which goes to major 1. It's 2-5-1-4-7-3-6, right? And then you're back at the top. So that's my point, is that when you do it like this, your ear is really hearing it like that. So let's jump through some more tunes that do this, just to prove my point. Okay, You Don't Know What Love Is. All right, well, how does that work? We've all heard that tune. Right? Okay, sounds really minor, because it is, but really if you think of it and hear it from the right perspective, what I'm trying to get at is that when you hear all these minor tunes, if you start to really pivot and hear it from the 6 every time, it's really going to help. At least for me, it's really helped me hear these tunes in a more complete way, hear the harmony in a more complete way. 6, that's dominant 4, 3, dominant 4 again. You can make that sharp 11. And you have this, which is the 6 of 6. You can watch that lecture. Dominant 4 with a 13 up top. And notice when you do that dominant 4, the D flat, or what most people call flat 6, 5, 1 minor, right? And yes, I'm not saying you can't hear that as flat 6, 5, 1. You should hear it like that. It does sound like that. But what I'm also saying is also realize that is dominant 4, dominant 3, 6. And so why would you do that? Well, that helps because when you start to do that, you're really hearing this in that key, right? And what's important about music is that there's many answers to certain things, In this case, there's 2 answers to the way to hear this. And what I'm saying is, yes, you should hear this as 1, right? If I go to the 4, minor 4, you should hear that as minor. Just like I don't hear that as major 1 and major 4, like we're assuming we know that when we say, oh, that's 1, 4. You can be specific and say minor 1 to minor 4, flat 6, 5, 1, right? So just like when you say that, you should also realize that there is also another way to hear this as 6, 2, dominant 4, dominant 3, 6. Now, when you do this, this is going to really open up all these tunes for you. So, for example, this tune, You Don't Know What Love Is the perfect example because it does all these classic minor movements from the 6, including, you know, this really cool walk down. So let's say let's start here. Let's just go through it real quick. So we have F minor. I mean, just look at the key we're in. I mean, it just proves my point immediately. A flat major. We're hearing it from A flat. The bridge goes to A flat major, right? Like, look at this. So when we start to hear it like this, it's going to really give us a more complete, you know, image, you know, hearing wise of what the tune is. So D flat C, which sounds like that's minor 1, and it is, but it's 6. And a lot of people will do and notice when you do the flat 7 on this dominant chord of the D flat, I mean that's the blue note of the 6 of F minor, which is interesting. I mean, it's perfect. It's like, well, that's why it sounds good. So, you know, 6, dominant 4, dominant 3, 6, you know, a little, you can do a little movement to this D flat, which sounds great. It has the blue note. 7, 3, 6. A lot of people might do B flat right there. B flat 13 sounds cool. Some people will just walk down immediately down to that D flat. So from here down to here. And you can imply this 6 of 6 sound, which, you know, watch that lecture, but here's what it sounds like. Okay, and then see, I just did it. So this, that's 6 of 6. 6 of 6. F minor is the 6 of A flat, which we're in. I mean, look at the key signature. 6 F minor. The 6 of 6 is that cool D half diminished. Right? It's great. Tritone half diminished. You know, flat 5. It's a great chord. There's a reason they use that. It's because it works so well, and it leads right to that D flat, and then you continue the process again. But now look at, if we resolve on the second ending to F minor, right? And a lot of people do F7, secondary dominant of 2, 5 of 2, which it goes right to the 2 chord. So let's try that again. I messed it up. A flat major. You could do that. A diminished or F7. So and then you realize, I mean, look at it, just 2 5s to the relative major. Kind of changes key here because it goes to C, which is the 3 of A flat. But look at this, the 3 of A flat is right next door to D flat. So there's a reason that we did all that. I mean, it sounds nice. Your ear really likes that sound. So there's a reason they go to C, right? It's right next door. I mean, when we're doing C right here, it's the 3 dominant. Right, if you wanted to C dominant, so that's the idea of your ear hearing it from the 6. Now, that's what's so impressive about, you know, minor 1 or 6 chord, right? Is that it works so perfectly, and this is where you get, you know, your melodic minor. If you're thinking natural minor, you're going to play, right, which you could play over the 1. You can think melodic minor, right, which you can play in certain spots in there. You can think harmonic minor, which honestly is what really fits well over these minor songs, because let's take another one. Let's go into Let's go into a blues. All right, Mr. PC, right? I mean, again, minor blues is from the 6, like 6, 2, 6, dominant 4 has the blue note, right? It's if you play the blue note of or the flat 7 of this key, you're playing. I mean, it's relative minor. I mean, it's a blues scale from the relative minor 6, right? Which is C. We're in C minor, E flat major. I mean, just look at the key signature that this tune is written in. See, like, this is what I'm saying. I feel like most people know this, they just don't realize it. It's like, this is nothing new. I'm just clarifying how your ear is hearing this. So, minor blues is from the 6, right? So if you're, I mean, that's it right there, right? Now, when you start to play over the relative minor, you can be thinking Aeolian, right? Which is 6. Like, this is what I'm saying. It's like you're thinking 6, right? And then when you get to the 2 or the minor 4, however you want to think it, it's still all the same notes. And then when you get to dominant 4 or flat 6, 3, I mean, this is when you can start to play harmonic minor, right? Because if you do harmonic minor, what are you playing? Well, you're playing flat 6. If I'm playing harmonic minor from C, well, it has a B in it, but it has an A flat in it. Well, that A flat works perfectly with A flat dominant 7, because there's an A flat in there, obviously. G7, well, that's dominant 3. That's how you get flat 9. That's the A flat, but there's also a B. So that's why you play harmonic minor. You're thinking C harmonic minor, but you're thinking from a G chord. And those notes all fit perfectly inside that, right? And that's also a diminished. So this is the idea. That's what's complex about minor, is that you have to think several different things, right? Not only are you thinking minor 1, you're also thinking 6, right? You should be hearing that. Not only should you be hearing Aeolian, which is 6, over the 1 and the minor 4, or the 6 and the 2, right? When you get to that sound, you can be thinking blues scale from A flat. I think A flat dominant, but C blues. And if you really want to think even more, you can think of this like You Don't Know What Love Is. Think of that as a dominant 7, sharp 11. Well, now you're kind of implying melodic minor from E flat. I mean, that's getting into something else, but you're thinking blues scale, dominant 3, which is harmonic minor from the root, or C, or 6, right? Because it has A flats in it. It has B's in it, which we need for the G7. Right? Like, that's a scale that no one really tells you to do over the 3 chord, or over the dominant 3 or the 5, right? 5 of minor 6. Right? They say play harmonic minor, C harmonic minor. Okay, cool. But do it from G. Right? And then, you can take it one step further and think altered. Right? I'm playing dominant 7, sharp 9. Well, look at the sharp 9 has a B flat in it. That's why that's called altered dominant, and that's the 7th mode of A flat, melodic minor, right? So I just explained several things right there. So that's why minor is confusing. And it's confusing off the bat because you're doing, you can play all these different scales, right? But it's like if you think of it from the 6 chord, it's just 6. Oh yeah, and 6 going to 2 really does sound like a 4 movement. The root movement sounds like 4. 1, 4, 5, 1. I can do it in major and it's not. But we're in minor, right? That's why. You do this 7, 3, 6. Well, then now you get all these tunes that we're talking about. Let's do another one. Black Orpheus. Great tune, right? Kind of overplayed in the sense that, it's an easier song, but it's actually not that easy in the sense that you should hear it correctly to really understand the genius behind it. So it's perfect because it does one step further. It shows you a different version of the other minor chords and how it's really approaching it in the same fashion, which is still the 6 sound. So we got to remember, relative minor is a strong sound. Why? Because we just said earlier, it has all 3 notes of the major, relative major key, right? C major is built inside of A minor. That A minor is a minor 7. So that's why it's so strong of a sound. That's why your ear hears it as a 6 and really, even if it's in a different key, and we'll get into that more. So watch. Black Orpheus starts on the 6. Right? 6, 7, 3, 6. 7, 3, 6. 2, 5, 1. A7 or, C sharp diminished. That'll be in diminished lecture. 2, 1, 2, 5, 1 to the 4, 7. That's a great part of the melody. 2, 5 to the 1 minor, 6 chord, right? 6. Now watch this. 2, 5 to the 2. Now look at, we just pivoted right here. This is a great tune. This is actually more genius than people realize. And this movement right here, by hitting this B flat on that E half, you hear that sound. It sounds really nice. Let's do the second time. That's going to the 2. And it's doing this movement, which I call 6 of 6. This movement right here is 6 of 6. If D minor was the 6, B half diminished would be the 6 of 6. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's because I always wonder, why does it sound so good to 2, 5 to that D minor? When you really hit this B flat, which is totally out of the key, right? It's like the only accidental you see besides the G sharp, right? There's the G sharp. There's the G sharp. There's the G sharp. The only other accidental, there's another G sharp. The only other accidental you see is what? Well, it's that B flat. Now, why does that sound so good? What does that have to do with C major, which the key is in, A minor, which the key is in, 6 chord, right? Why B flat? That's flat 2 if you're thinking A minor. What is that? If you're thinking C major, that's flat 7. So what is the point? Well, if you hear this as a 2, 5 to the 2 chord, D minor is the 6 of F major. F major is the 4 chord of C major. It's the subdominant key of the key that the whole song is in, right? The song is in C major. Starts on the 6, right? It even goes to C major. Right there. Twice. Look at. Goes to the subdominant F. Well, the key of F major has how many flats? Has 1 flat. What is that flat? It's B flat. E is the 7 of F. 7, 3, 6. Right? Okay, well, you're probably saying, but I thought you said that was the 2. It is. It's both. Music, there's 2 answers for the same question. So that's what's confusing about this to people is how can it be two different things? You know, in life, there's very rarely are there two correct answers for the same thing, right? In music, it happens all the time. There's two different ways to see it, two different ways to hear it. So the point is that right here, when you go to the E half, this is actually really hip because you're doing, we're on the 6, 7, 3, 6, right? 7, 3. That tritone sounds nice. You can do an A7 there if you want. So that whole movement is a 2-5 to the 2. D minor is the 2 chord. Now, notice when you start to do 2-5s, minor 2-5s, watch the minor 2-5 lecture. When you start to minor 2-5 to the 2, well, that's, like I just said, that's the 6 of F. F is the 4 of C, right? You're going to the subdominant key. It's blues, baby. So this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a reason we study subdominant and dominant. 4 and 5, right? Those key signatures are very important for a reason. It's because they sound so good. Why do they sound so good? It's only one major scale away. It's only one note different, right? And it's in each direction. It's in the left direction, which would be subdominant. It's in the right direction of the circle of fifths, which would be dominant. You know, sharp. One's flat direction, one's sharp direction. So, you know, counterclockwise, clockwise. So that's the idea, is that your ear hears this as 7, 3, 6 in F, and that's why they use the B flat. Now, you want to take this one step further, in my opinion? Let's just go down the rabbit hole, okay? Jazz please are coming after me. I don't care. So, B flat, when I hear that, I mean, this is the thing, is you should do both. My ear really hears this as A, especially in a tune like this, right? We hear this from the perspective of A minor, 6 chord, or 1 chord, right? Both. When I'm playing, I mean, I can't help but hear that. Yeah, that sounds like the home, right? But to me, it sounds like 6. 6 is minor 1, right? 1 is minor 6. I go through the whole tune, 2, 5 to the real 1. 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, 6, right? You can do another 2, 5, back to the 6. Now, a crucial movement. Now, why does that sound so nice? Well, it's a 2, 5 to the 2. And notice, when you do that, you're introducing this B flat. This is a very Phrygian sound because your ear has been hearing A minor so much. Right, so that's another like sub-layer of that, is that, you know, it's interesting because true Phrygian, this will be another lecture, true Phrygian's from the 6 minor every time, right? Whenever you hear a song that's Phrygian-esque, it's always in that vein. Blue Bossa does it harmonically. Nardis does it. That one's even more layered than just one layer. What's another one? If we think of Speak No Evil, if we think of Little B's poem, that one's even a little more intricate too. But that's what I'm saying. You start to hear these sounds, and whenever you have a nice, you know, Phrygian-esque sound, you know, that's what I hear this as. You know, that B flat is 2, 5 to the 2, and it kind of introduces that Phrygian sound, that B flat, right? From the, you know, if you're thinking from A. So it's interesting because, you know, this helps just open up improvising over things, hearing songs in the correct way, and just harmonically being able to navigate. You know, you sit down and you hear a great piano player play, and they're just messing around. And how are they navigating through all these chords so well? Well, it's because they hear it functionally and they understand how to wield harmony, right? So you can move in certain ways. And to me, I learned this from my church gig. You know, when we're playing in a major tune, and then all of a sudden we go to parallel minor, you know, if we're playing in C major, like this tune is in, and I play C major, 2, 5 to the 6, 2, 5, 1, dominant 4, they go to the 4 chord, minor 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, flat 6 major, flat 7 major, 1 minor, and then they yell out E flat. But I know they're playing C minor because they're playing it from the 6. That's why I know that that's 6. That's how we started doing that, because and then all of a sudden they'll be playing from a perspective of C minor, which is E flat major, because they'll do, right? And then they know that they can do, and then you know what else they'll do? They'll go up past that D flat major, sharp 11, right? And what does that do? Well, that creates like true Phrygian in a sense. Right. So this kind of idea of hearing things like this, I think, is very important. And it's really helped me hear minor tunes in the correct way. And then when you start to layer this with the blues, like go watch the I Love You lecture, now you're starting to overlay parallel movements. F major with F minor, Aeolian, right? 1 and 6, 6 and 1, right? Both from the same key. That's what blues is, right? Go watch that lecture. You'll hear Winton say it. It's not just me. He sits there and plays it for you. So, you know, there's no such thing as minor 1. I mean, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's more of just clickbait title. But, I mean, it kind of is true to me, you know, in the sense, I think both. Yeah, I hear is 1, 4, 5, minor 1. But really, it's 6, 2, dominant 3, 1. Or 6, sorry. See, I think both. So it's like minor blues, yeah, it's 1, 4, flat 6, 5, 1. But it's really functionally in the key that you're playing in, it's 6, 2, dominant 4, 3, dominant 6. So that's kind of my point. And in this lecture, you know, when you click on it, you're going to see, you know, that's what all this says. It's just me kind of writing it out in words, so that way you can watch this video and hear it. I just write, you know, the blues movements, or this is hearing, you know, 6, 2, 3. This is in the key of E flat major, right? So I'm just kind of writing out chords so you can kind of see it and imagine it from these perspectives, hear it from these perspectives. So C major, you know, 6, A minor, 2, D minor, 3, E minor. So I wrote out the blues, minor blues form, and just how you can hear it, and you know what it means in each key. So top key is from the C minor, the 6. You're hearing it as 1, or if you're hearing it in E flat, you're thinking 6 minor, right? So that's the idea. And then same for down below. It kind of shows you, you know, flat 6 or 4 dominant, 5 dominant, or 3 dominant, right? So it's perspective of what key you're in. So I think this really helps. And remember, when you're on this site, you know, be sure to click the numbers, letters and numbers. So it looks like I didn't save the roots correctly, so this is something I got to do. So again, I didn't do this right. But look at, if I make the root E flat, well, now it's 6. Look at how perfectly it lines up. If I make the root E flat, well, look at, that's 2 now. If I make this E flat, well, now that's 3, right? Okay, well, let's see if I did it on this one. C major, so we want the root 1 to be C. See, there's no such thing as minor 1. 6 chord. I'm just playing. So this is just what helps me. Hopefully this helps you guys. Let's see. C would be there, so that's the 2 chord now, right? C would be there, now it's a 3 chord. See how that works? So go through it and check it out, and click on stuff, and hopefully it helps. I'm going to save this so that way you guys can have it updated. But yeah, I hope this helps. No such thing as minor 1. It's 6 chord, right? Just hear it like that. And you know what? Let's do one more. There's one more we didn't do. Let me pull it up. I don't think I got this one ready. So actually, let's do this. Watch. Let's pull up. Let's do one more tune. Let's pull up Body and Soul, right? That one's a classic tune. This is a good example of starting on the 2, right? it sounds like a 6 chord, but then it quickly acts like a 2 chord. And that's the point. Right? So if I'm thinking E flat minor, right? That's the key we're in. But really, we're thinking D flat major. That's the key we're in, right? So I mean, just look on here. D flat major, right? So what's cool about this is it's kind of explaining what I was saying earlier, is that even when you do like Black Orpheus and you go to the 2 chord, well, when you do that, you're doing it in a 7-3-6 fashion. So minor 2-5 fashion, it's always 7-3-6, but you're doing it from the subdominant key, right? So it's same idea here. If I'm thinking D flat major and I want to play this tune, I'm thinking E flat minor, right? So let's try. I wish this thing would work. Okay, we're going to do the body and soul, right? It starts on E flat minor. And it sounds, it sounds like a 6 chord, but it's not, it's a 2. And that's my point, is that, a lot of these composers use these movements to kind of fake your ear out, I can do 2-5 to the 2, which is 7-3-6 in the subdominant key, right? We're in D flat, but I just played it from G flat. That's the 4 chord. So that's the whole point, is that when you start to move these chords in the right way, it allows you to go to certain keys, certain chords. So starts on the 2. And then 1. 4 dominant. Look, there's another 7-3-6, but it's really going to the 6. 2-5-1. It looks like 2-5 to the 2 sounds like 7-3-6, in G flat, but it's the 2 chord. So that's my point. Go watch the minor 2-5 lecture. When you watch that, you're going to see how, minor 2-5s are 7-3-6s. Right, 7-3-6, but you can do it in different ways. When you're in the 2 chord, if we're in D flat major, right, 1 2 3 4 3 2 1. Well, I can 2-5 to the 2, minor 2-5. That sounds like 7-3-6 in G flat. If I 2-5 to the 3, it sounds like 7-3-6 in A flat, 5 chord. So it's like, that's why I say everything is blues. It goes back 1-4-5, baby. So like when you start to hear these in the right way, it helps you, it enables you to improvise over them better. You're borrowing from keys. This is how you start moving keys. You know what I mean? We don't want to just stay in the diatonic key the whole time, major scale the entire time. Now you're able to borrow certain notes from certain keys that are, not in the original key, in this case D flat. When I'm in E flat minor, because I could start this song like this. I could start. If I didn't say anything to the band, I said, if I just played this, most of the time they would get it. Sorry. I'm just doing, 1, minor 1, 5. But really what that is 6, 3 dominant. And really what that is for this tune is 2, 6 dominant. So this is how you use secondary dominants, right? It's borrowing. And that's what's nice about this tune, is that the minute we start playing, two, 5. See that move to that key? So I'm just moving in a fashion 6, 2, 5, 1. So that, moves you 2-5 to the 2 really good. 7-3-6 in the subdominant key. So I think you should hear both. You should hear both these things. You should hear it as a 2 chord. You should hear it as a 1 chord. You should hear it as a 6 chord, even though it's kind of not. So, it's multi-layered. That's the whole thing. That's what's hard for people to wrap their ear around is, well, how can it be all those things? Well, that's how music is. It can be several things at once. That's why you can apply different sounds and you get different sounds improvising wise. This is what helps you really create nice lines and create, new ideas over these tunes. So that's my bit, that's my hot take. There's no such thing as minor 1, right? It's usually acting as a 6 chord of some kind. Even if it's 2-5 to the 2, right? That's still acting as a 6 chord in the subdominant key. Even if it's 2-5 to the 3, that's still acting as a 6 chord in the dominant key, And so I just gave you 4 or 5 different examples: minor blues, summertime, body and soul, you don't know what love is, and Black Orpheus. There's 5 different songs that does this. Now, you're going to see this everywhere. There's many other minor tunes, right? So start to hear them from the perspective of the 6. I'm not saying don't think minor 1, right? I'm not saying that. I'm saying do both. You know what I mean? I think this is really going to help open up your ears. And when you start to do it in a parallel fashion, which that'll be another lecture, and I'll get into that some more. That's a little more layered. But when you start to do that, it's just the blues, right? That's what the blues does. Go watch that video. You hear Winton explain that. So, this is not my idea. This is not anything new, really. It's like I said, when you call summertime and I say, hey, let's play it in A. Immediate next question is, does this guy mean A minor? Probably is what he means. Or is it A major, right? That's what's annoying when you have someone come up and a singer calls a tune and they're not really specific. It's like, okay, and then you immediately play the melody. It's like, well, is it this? Oh, no, yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's A minor. But maybe they mean A major and they're talking F sharp minor. Right. That's drastically different, right? But it's still, that's my whole point, is that all these tunes, when you look at the key signature, they're just telling you that it's from the 6th chord. So it's like hearing it like that, I think, is very helpful. And when you start to really move harmonically to different keys and navigate just improvising and listening really well, now you can really hear the 6. You can really hear the 2. You can really hear the 3. You can really hear when it's 2-5 to the 2 or 2-5 to the 3 or 2-5 to the 6, right? You start hearing these harmonic movements, and that's what it's all about. So hopefully this helps. Check out these tunes and, keep shredding. It's blues, baby.